Hello and welcome. You're watching KYC. I'm Harsh Saita. With me is Varsha Chandani, and today we're going to talk about Suven Lifesciences. The entire company largely depends on the success of a single drug, and the stock price has doubled over the last 6 months, and therefore we find it interesting to try and analyze this one. Let me start off with what I want to know, and this is going to hold the key, right? How large is the opportunity size with regard to the Alzheimer's drug they're developing? And the second piece is, where will they sell it? What are the margins on these products? What's the opportunity size like with regard to the product? Will they license it or will they partner? How exactly will this work? All of it is what we'll try to understand. The expectation is this will happen as early as calendar year 2026, and therefore the numbers will change dramatically if this one turns out to be a success. So that's the first piece. The second one, cash balances, and they've raised around 850 crore. As of now, the cash balances are minuscule as of FY25 end. But with this 856 crore or 57 crore fundraise, it should give some amount of bandwidth, some amount of comfort with regard to the investment that they continue to make in R&D, given that otherwise the business is largely zero when it comes to both profitability as well as top line. When you're looking at products, I'd also want to know what the other products might contribute if this one were to fail. So products in the pipeline, timelines, how likely of some or all of those products being successful, and how large is the size for the other products outside of the Alzheimer's drug that they're developing. How certain is profitability? They need to be profitable. Analysts want them to be. There have been questions asked around this, so I'd want to know how certain is it that they are looking at profitability. The sixth possible question that I'd want to ask them is, how was investor interest in the fundraise? Now, it was a large fundraise, and therefore to try and assess as to whether there is a possibility of more fundraising if at all the company needs it, and that will possibly be determined by the answer he gives us to this question. The last one is, how will Suven look beyond 2027? Now, there are lots of unknowns where Suven is concerned, and therefore this will be a tough question to answer standalone. But what we will ask him is, under both scenarios, one, Alzheimer's becomes successful and Alzheimer's doesn't successfully come through as a product, in which case how does Suven look in both of those cases beyond 2027? So I'd want to know a lot around some of these aspects and angles. But Varsha, as always, about the company.
Yeah. So, Harsh, this is something like a 0 to 1 game, I would say, when it comes to, Suven Lifesciences. Let's see what that company does. I'll try to simplify as much as possible. Now, a company develops molecules which are focused on CNS space. That means CNS drugs are nothing but which treat conditions affecting brain and spinal cord, and they develop novel therapies and also provides contract research and development services. So basically, in a very simple language, they make molecules which affect brain and spinal cord. Let's talk about the products, because that is what defines Suven and why investors are bullish, or why investors like this company, because of the pipeline that they have. Starting with one of the main product that this company has is SUVN 502. This is nothing but the drugs which is being developed for agitation in Alzheimer's patient. In simple language, when a person has Alzheimer's, they do have side effects, like you have irritation, you have, restlessness or emotional distress. So these are nothing but the side effects when you have Alzheimer's. So to treat that side effects, this drug will be used, which is Suven 502. Now, this is currently in phase 3 global trials for Alzheimer's agitation, and now this is mainly people are talking about that this represents a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. We'll ask the management about that, and the expected completion for this is by end of FY26.
Before I go forward, or rather before you go forward, what does phase 3 mean? So say we are in phase 3. Can we pull up that graphic again? Perfect. Phase 3 global trials. What does this mean? And how far are we from possible completion? How many phases to go? What do the phases which are completed mean? Give us that, give viewers that perspective.
So phase 3 is nothing but the last phase. So any drug which wants to go into the market has to go through 3 phases, which we call clinical trials. Meaning, you know, before a drug is given to a person, that drug has to be tested. So that drug has to be tested in 3 phases. That is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 1 may you have, you know, certain number of people to whom drugs is being tested. Then if that is positive, the drugs goes from phase 1 to phase 2. Then in phase 2, this drug has been given to certain number of people, and then if the results are positive, then it goes to phase 3. And phase 3 is the final one, wherein if the drug is positive, then, you know, all the launches, activities, marketing comes, and then the actual commercialization of the drug comes in. So this...
What are my options post phase 3 approval? So say phase 3 global approval comes through. What are my options? Do I license? Do I manufacture on my own? Is there a third option available?
That depends on you.
What are my options?
That depends on you.
But these are my 2 options.
Yeah,
one is I license it
yes.
for someone else to manufacture and market both.
Yes.
And second is I market it and a third party manufactures it. And then the third option is I manufacture it, I market.
Yes, that depends on the unit economics that you
But
follow.
this is broadly the way in which it works.
This is broadly the way in which any you know, pharma company works with a drug.
And is it possible that I don't get a global approval and that I get a approval for a specific geography, or is that not really heard of?
You have to get, I mean, if you want to, if you are, you know, developing a drug, okay, and so the main point over here is you want to sell it to US,
right,
which is a regulated market.
Correct.
So for that you need that, you know, US FDA approval.
And therefore they have a subsidiary sitting in the US which is also doing trials.
Yes.
Just for viewer perspective, they've been pushing money there as well to ensure that trials in the US become successful, because that's the largest market which you want to cater to. But okay, that's the first product. We'll breeze through the others because this is the key one.
This is the key one, exactly. Yes. So everyone is betting on this product. And also for viewers, so what, so Suven actually failed so it was developing a product for Alzheimer's, to treat the Alzheimer's, but they failed in trials, and then they got to know that this drug is actually positive on people dealing with the side effects of Alzheimer's. That is the agitation, which we were, you know, speaking about.
Yes.
And that's when they found out that, okay, let's, you know,
cure the side effects.
Let's cure the side effects.
Which should hopefully aid Alzheimer's itself.
Exactly. So this is the whole story basically.
Interesting one.
Now, the next drug which they have is, let's, you know, go for Suven, SUVN G3031, which has completed, you know, phase 2 trial for chronic neurological disorder. Chronic neurological disorder is a long-term condition that affect, you know, brain, spinal cord, or, you know, your nerves throughout the body. And they are engaging for FDA phase 3 trial approval, which are expected, you know, somewhere around 25 to 26. Now, next drug which they are focusing on is SUVN T4010, that is 4010, which targets cognitive disorder. It's nothing but, what is cognitive disorder? This affect person's ability to think, to learn, or, you know, memory, perception. So basically your day-to-day life get affected when it comes to cognitive disorder, and they are planning for phase 2 over there. Then next is Suven 911, which is nothing but used for major you know, depressive disorder. In a simple language, depression, that's it. They've completed their phase 2A trial with positive results, and results are expected by 2027. So no, you know, Harsha, this is what Suven does, and these are what the main products, I would say, which, you know, Suven is focusing on, considering the biggest one would be the Alzheimer's.
Yeah. So let's pull up all of this as a summary. These are all the drugs which are there under development. This is broadly a summary of all of those, kind of giving you a snapshot into what's playing out and at what phase each of those drugs are in. So this gives you a quick, brief snapshot. We won't get into the details of it, but this one is the key, right? This one, we've spoken about it quite a bit, so we'll quickly move on now. Therefore, now you already know a large part of what the company is about, and this is the crucial part of it. Let's therefore look at the metrics now, and as one would understand, the metrics will not be the best because a lot of these drugs are still under development and there's no sales that the company is able to demonstrate. We'll start off with the income statement, balance sheet, cash flow, return ratios. We'll look at shareholding, street cred, street coverage, and we will look at outlook. So 8 parameters. Varsha, to start with the income statement.
Yeah. So, on the face, if you see income statement doesn't look good, you will only see losses there, starting from EBITDA. Look at the revenue, it's like deteriorating. So one of the reasons I would say why this is deteriorating is company previously had CDMO business, and the sale or demerger of this segment has actually, affected the revenue for the company. And now the core business for the company is developing their novel drugs, which we just, saw, which has a very long gestation period. Single drug will require, you have to, when you make your own drug, you have to go through the phase 3 trials, and then that requires a lots of times 4-5 years. And that's one of the reasons why this doesn't look good. Even the company has high R&D expenditure, which drags the profitability, and one of the reasons why you're seeing losses for this company. So overall, because of no CDMO in the revenue and high R&D expenditure and long gestation period of the novel products that they are going into is one of the reasons why the income statement doesn't look good.
Okay, but a clear thumbs down on the back of that. Let's look at the balance sheet. And the balance sheet has equity, or used to have a very large quantum of equity in comparison to where it is right now, because you are booking all of those losses. But the good part is there is very low to no borrowing on the balance sheet. Also, they've done a fundraise in May of 2025, through which they've raised around 857 crore rupees of equity, which basically again takes care of what is the cash required for all the R&D they're doing. So again, it gives you the ability to continue to make losses at a period when you're still developing your business, which is again a key positive. So we've given this a neutral because 1, they have the ability to raise money, 2, you don't have any borrowing on the balance sheet. And typically if you don't have any borrowing on the balance sheet, you can't call the balance sheet bad, and therefore we've given this a neutral. Let's talk about cash flow, Varsha.
Yeah, so Harsh, considering the overall financial that this company has, the cash flow doesn't look bad.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons why we've given neutral rating, because if you see, company has been receiving money in 2023 also. Company had received money, and that is the reason. If you see, the net cash flow, in 2023 was what, 32 crores positive. In 2024 it is negative 22 crore, in 25 it is 0. So company has been receiving money to survive, and considering the size of the company, considering the financial losses that the company has seen, the cash flow doesn't look bad. So that's the reason why we've given over here the neutral rating to the cash flow statement.
Perfect. I'll quickly cover return ratios and shareholding. Return ratios are negative, and therefore we've given it a thumbs down. No questions asked, unfortunately loss making, and therefore that's what you're seeing. What you're looking at in terms of shareholding pattern as well, nearly 67% of the shares, outstanding share capital is held by promoters, so it's well held. Also, you have some interesting names cropping up on the DII side, which is the domestic institutional investors. You have Quant, Abacus, which hold 2% and 1.5% each, and therefore that part of the metrics looks very, very interesting, where you have good, decent investors who have come in, vindicating the way in which they look at the company. Second, you have a very large promoter holding, nearly 67.5%, which also kind of vindicates everything with regard to the company. It's a 5,000 crore market cap company now, after the stock has doubled in the last 3 months. So something, or rather the last 6 months. So that's something you want to know. But Varsha, the next metric.
Yeah, so I would take street cred and outlook for the company. The street cred, if you see, as Harsh was mentioning, in the last 1 month, there is a negative returns to the investors of 20%, but last 6 months, yes, almost 100%, the money has been doubled. But what is interesting when it comes to Suven is outlook. not the present condition but outlook. So one is the Alzheimer's drug, which we were speaking about, creates $1 million opportunity for the company if that goes successful. And of all the products that we have seen, even if one product goes into licensing, or if even one product goes successful, Suven could change tables for itself. So also, if you see, maybe a company may need more capital for multiple clinical trials over the next 2 years. And very interesting part, Harsh. So if you see, for Walk Hard, Zenich was the lead drug, right? For Glenmark, if you see ISB 2001, which we just had a discussion about, that was the lead drug. Maybe for Suven, that agitation and Alzheimer's drug maybe would turn tables for itself. You don't know.
Yeah, we'll quiz the management on that, but that's basically with regard to the outlook. We've given that, of course, a neutral, because it's tough to know which side of the fence to sit on. Street coverage, there's absolutely no street coverage, therefore we've been forced to give this a thumbs down. Let's quickly add up all of the metrics and give it a rating, which we always do on KYC. Of course, keep in mind that it's a 0 to 1 game, which Varsha keeps speaking about, but that's how all of the metrics stack up. And of course, it's a very risky 3.5 on 8 that we have given on our KYC final rating. Let's bring on board Mr. Venkateshwarlu Jasti, who is the Chairman and Managing Director at Suven Lifesciences, joining us. Great having you, Mr. Jasti. Good morning, this is Harsh. So let me start off by first understanding from you, what is the likelihood of the phase 3 trial getting successfully completed for an SUVN 502? Give us your take, give us your perspective from the horse's mouth.
Hey, you have to take it with a grain of salt, whatever we say here.
Of course.
The thing, drug discovery, as she was telling, it's a binary outcome. There is no percentage of success or anything like that. And it's a long drawn process. Each drug takes 10 to 15 years before you see whether it's going forward or not going at all. In this case, when you're asking me whether you're going to be successful, I'm not sure, because we thought 502, when we did for the Alzheimer's, because this was a double-blind study based on the DSMB, drug safety monitoring based data, no questions asked for 4 years. But at the same time, when you got the result, it was not statistically significant. Similarly, here we see the data based on the post-facto analysis of the same clinical trial, and we see very good outlook for that. And based on that, we went to the US FDA, asked for direct phase 3 study for the agitation and aggression in Alzheimer's. Usually we had to do again a phase 2, but based on the safety aspects, they have given, and now it's running. So we are very hopeful of that, but doesn't mean a thing until the check is in the bank. So you have to take, as I said, it is 0 as of now, but everything will be known only in 2027.
If I can ask you a follow-up, everything will be known in 2027. Are you talking about calendar year, financial year? Give us that timeline.
Calendar
Year 2027. So we're still 2 years away from any type of recognition in terms of top line.
Any type of success to start with.
Sure.
Only success will give you the any kind of money. Sure. Otherwise, nothing.
Sure. And how large is the opportunity, sir? While I have you still with me, and then I hand it over to Varsha.
This is a new indication. There are no real NCEs that were tried for this. Only one NCE which was used for some other thing has been used, and it can be a multi-billion dollars according to street estimates, but we don't know. But it's a new indication, and not only for Alzheimer type dementia, this agitation also occurs in other dementias. So based on that, it has a huge potential, but only time will tell. First, we need to move to that approval level. That's what our intention is.
Right. Hi, Mr. Jasti. Varsha this side. Pleasure to have you on NDTV Profit. Mr. Jasti, the recent, 857 crore fundraising which you have done was a significant event. Now, wanted to know what are the specific milestones that you have tied up, and any more funding is been required considering the huge pipeline, that you have.
As you know, this is the first time an Indian company sitting in India doing drug discovery alone, nothing, no revenue base. Street has put in about $50 million. And myself has put in $50 million. Out of the 100 million, $50 million comes from the family and 50 million from the street. We have not given any kind of things. If you have seen my annual report, it clearly tells you what exactly it is. We are saying it will be only during that time that can happen when the 2027. Not only this molecule, but other molecules are also coming up at the same time, like 3031 and 911. The results also will be during the calendar year 2027.
Varsha, he's obviously non-committal with regard to that key drug that we are talking about. He was also non-committal on the size of the opportunity,
Yeah.
which was a bit,
Which was a bit,
off for me, because
yes.
it's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity. That's a known fact. But how much of that does Suven likely capture?
Lots of uncertainty, I would say. Lots and lots of uncertainty.
Mr. Jasti, just wanting to understand, Varsha and myself, what was the kind of investor interest that you saw? Of course, you've got some marquee investors who've come in, but how large was the investor interest is what we're trying to understand.
I mean, I think we have to propagate that something has to be funded, the investments into the drug discovery. We cannot be depending on the global outlook and all that stuff, getting drugs from outside. Only that kind of a mindset they have put it in. I think those people who have put in about 23 people, including funds, they're all looking at kind of a new way of looking at innovation. Otherwise, there is not much interest, to be honest with you. So we have to propagate that. And the second thing is, since the management is putting 50% of the money, I think I've been putting all these times. I think that is another thing that gave them these, okay, let us try and put some money in this. That's the way it has been.
Understood. Mr. Jasti, I know that, that FY27 decides everything, but any target that you have or any, idea that you have, when can Suven be on the path of profitability? Any ballpark target that you have set in?
No profitability in the next few years until a molecule is successful, because we do not have any revenue. As you know, we do only the drug discovery and development. We don't do any CRO business, which I used to do, or CDMO business, which I used to do in the Suven Pharma, which not anymore. That's why I have demerged it and focusing on this one, because I need to fund this one. If I'm in the same company, it is being penalized. That's
Mr.
why
Jasti, got your point. Sorry, but
Yeah.
we're out of time. Just one quick piece. How long should this fundraise therefore last you? Should
This
it
will
be
last
2 years?
2027.
Perfect.
So that
Got it.
if something happens, then I don't need any more funding for the next foreseeable future.
Got it.
Otherwise, I have to put myself or look for partners.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us and giving us that perspective and being very candid about it. You yourself started the conversation by saying that it's a binary outcome. Viewers, a tricky company, a tricky set of ratings that we've put out, but of course, it's an objective rating that we've given. And of course, you've heard straight from the management. So it's over to you. But from Varsha, myself, and everyone who puts the show together, thanks so much for watching.